want to introduce Professor of Music and Choral Director, Mr. Bruce Soller, and el Mariachi Rincón de Romos. Colleagues, if I could please bring your attention to the handsome bald man on the microphone in front. Ladies and gentlemen, before we officially begin our event, I'm proud to introduce the two next speakers who were key in ensuring that our district established a land acknowledgement. I want to bring to the microphone Professor Ricardo Aguilar y también Profesor Mario Moreno.
Before I read the land acknowledgement, I want to thank everyone for being here. And let me just tell you a little bit about how this started. It started with the students, right? Students now feel that they have a space to be in, especially undocumented students. And so many of us are migrants, and even though we like to migrate, oftentimes we're tired of migrating. And we want a permanent residency. And what that means is that we want to ask the institution, that commit itself to have us, the Dream Center here, as a permanent place. And they need to support us and also recognize that we are tired of migrating. And we are proud of that. But we want permanency because with the DACA decision, there's some hard times coming into our community. And so we need all of your help. All of your help. So I wanted to say that. And to the students, I'll be here shoulder to shoulder. Even if they have to arrest me, I'll be here supporting this center.
Aquí estamos y no nos vamos.
This center is not going away. We're here to stay. Reconocemos que San Joaquín Delta College sirve a los estudiantes y a la comunidad en la tierra ancestral de los pueblos indígenas, incluidos los Yaquets, Plains Miwok, Tawin y Nisenan. Esta tierra inseparable sigue y pertenece a los nativos americanos. Como invitados, reconocemos que nos beneficia vivir y trabajar en sus tierras y deseamos honrar, reconocer y respetar a los ancestros, ancianos y parientes de los Yaquets, Plains Miwok, Tawin y Nisenan, incluso mediante la afirmación de sus derechos soberanos como primeros pueblos. Seguimos agradecidos por la rica cultura, los idiomas, las contribuciones y el patrimonio de los pueblos de las primeras naciones que vivieron aquí, amaron aquí, que crearon a sus familias aquí, que cuidaron la tierra, la vida aquí, que están enterrados en muchos lugares reconocidos y no reconocidos aquí, y que permanecen aquí a pesar de los actos de genocidio, asimilación y expulsión forzosa. Honrémoslos a ellos, a esta tierra y a la vida en nuestros pensamientos, palabras y acciones en este lugar. Muchas gracias.
We acknowledge that San Joaquin Delta College serves students and the community on the unceded ancestral homeland of indigenous peoples, including the Yakuts, the Plains Miwok, the Patwin, and the Nisenan. This land remains inseparable from its Aboriginal stewards. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland, and we wish to pay our respects. By affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples, we remain grateful for the rich culture, languages, contributions, and heritage of the First Nation people who lived here and loved here, who raised their families here, who cared for land and life here, who are buried in many marked and unmarked places here and who remain here despite acts of genocide, assimilation, and forced removal. Let us honor them, this land, and all life in our thoughts, words, and actions in this place. Gracias.
Gracias, profesores. And if we didn't hear you loud and clear before, we hear you loud and clear today.
Yes,
So colleagues, the beauty about this type of work is organic in nature at times, and you never know when you're going to have a pleasant surprise. So I do want to acknowledge, I see one of our dignitaries here, Trustee Janet Rivera, who has and continues to be an advocate for access, equity, inclusion, diversity, in particular for our undocumented immigrant status students. Gracias, Janet. I'm not certain if there's any other trustees in the audience. If you are here, please let me know, and I properly want to acknowledge you as well. I realized when there was a couple of suits that walked up that looked more handsome than I realized we have another important dignitary. And it gives me great pleasure to bring to the microphone, again, somebody we did not know was arriving, but our county supervisor, Miguel Villapulva.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'm honored to be here on this incredible day. I want to thank Delta College for acknowledging this incredible building to provide a future for all Hispanic children, especially you. I want you to take advantage of this opportunity of education. You're all blessed to be here. Myself, I'm a proud Mexican-American. My parents came from Mexico, and they made a future for me, and I wouldn't be here without them. And your parents are somewhere right now thinking about your future at all times. I love you all. Work hard in school. Be somebody. I look forward to seeing your future in the near future. Thank you all very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, County Supervisor. I accept this on behalf of the students, the faculty, and the staff that helped establish the Dreamers Success Center. We are going to frame this and we are going to mount this, and I would like to take a photo op with our County Supervisor. Thank you, County Supervisor. And you had my vote before, and you'll have it again. Let me put this down here to take care of this. Colleagues, so if you haven't had an opportunity to meet me, my name is Ed Aguilar in Espanol, and Ed Aguilar in English. My parents también. My mom from Arizona, mi papá de Texas. All my grandparents came from el estado de Chihuahua, por eso estoy tan guapo. I identify as Chicano or Mexican hyphenated American because I was born in this state, but as a minority I didn't always feel welcome. I wasn't born in Mexico, so that's really not my home, that's where my roots are. So united, I stand here as a lighter shade of brown, but a color of brown and a color in support of our students, in particular, the undocumented and immigrant status students, because at one point we were all, and we still are, immigrants. So I stand unido. I have the honor and pleasure of introducing our president and superintendent, Dr. Lisa Aguilera Lawrenson. But before I bring her to the mic, let me say something about Dr. Aguilera Lawrenson. She is the 12th superintendent and president of San Joaquin Delta College. However, she is the first Latina and woman of color as president of San Joaquin Delta College. Dr. Aguilera Lawrence has over 28 years of experience as a community college professor, administrator, and social justice educator and trainer in California and Washington, West Coast. She has expertise in culturally relevant curriculum design, social justice, strategic planning, and mentoring. Her dissertation focused on the experiences of Hispanic students in developmental English and community colleges right here at San Joaquin Delta College. She has led initiatives in basic skills curriculum, equity, international education, strategic planning, college design, and governance. It is my humble honor and pleasure to be at the mercy of our superintendent and president, Dr. Aguilera Lawrenson.
Follow that up quite. Welcome everybody. Before we get started, I have to say, I think we should take a moment to think about our ancestors. I'm certainly thinking about mine right now, who are also undocumented at one point, some members of my family. Again, my family's from Tio Caltiche, on my dad's side, the Aguileras. But let's just take a moment to reflect on our ancestors and those who are still coming, those who haven't even made the journey yet, who will be here and joining us at this institution. So I'd just like us to take just a moment to remember our ancestors, to remember perhaps our own passage and those who are coming. I want to acknowledge those individuals because I wouldn't be standing here without the courage of members of my own family who made that journey, who made the decision to come to the United States to give us a better life. And I often think of my abuelito. He couldn't even imagine that I'd be standing here right now at all. My grandmother on my mother's side had a third grade education. So the fact that I'm standing here with a PhD as a president of college is pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. And I mention this to you because perhaps you're a brand new student here. Perhaps you're here for the first time going, I don't know if I'm in the right place. You are definitely in the right place and you're with the right community to help support you. And I want you to shoot high and to think big because you can achieve things that you can't even imagine right now. So open your mind up. It may take steps, but you know, the journey is just one foot after another. So make sure that you shoot high, you think big, and believe in yourself. And if one door closes, you just keep pushing until it opens up. That's how this center came to be, was by people pushing to making it open up. So I just wanted to say that at the outset. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here today as the president and serving the college in this manner. I want to congratulate all of the students and the faculty and the staff and the community members who made this center possible today. A little bit of history here is that the Board of Trustees approved the Dreamer Success Center on May 7th of 2019. And you might be thinking, hey, it's 2022. Why are we doing a grand opening today? And that's because the grand opening was actually planned for spring of 2020. We all know what happened in spring of 2020, right? So that wasn't the time for us to do a grand opening. So that's why we're doing it today. I think it's important for you to know that the trustees, administrators, faculty, staff, students, community members, really work together to establish the Dreamer Success Center. This college students named this center the Dreamer Success Center. So in case you're wondering, how did that come to pass? That's how it came to pass with the student voice. Students matter, your voice matters. Delta College is a Hispanic serving institution, a minority serving institution, and an Asian American and Native American Pacific Islander serving institution. And our Dreamer Success Center is open and available to any undocumented or immigrant status student, regardless of their country of origin. And that's important to know, because you've been hearing a lot at the moment about Latinos, but this center here is here to support all of our undocumented students. The Dreamer Success Center partners with the California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation for legal and community workshops, the United Farm Workers Foundation for legal services and workshops, Catholic Charities, El Concilio, many campus departments including counseling, financial aid, admissions and records, Empowerment Resource Center, the Pride Center, Student Activities, Outreach, and the Delta Connect Center, and many others. So I just want you to have a sense of what the center is here to do. I'm so pleased that you're here today. I really want to thank all of you for coming out and showing up today for our students. And as you said before, this center is here to stay and we're here to support it. We're not going anywhere.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilera Lawrenson. Once again, for our president, first Latina, first woman of color to serve as our president. What I'd like to do now is take the liberty while on the microphone, and I want to follow up on some of the comments that Professor Aguilar opened up the land acknowledgement with, and provide a brief history. Today's event is historical. It's legacy in the archives of San Joaquin Delta College, but it took a lot of work to get here. It took a lot of work to get here. Even before I arrived as the Student Equity and Diversity Manager, there were many individuals that were already thinking, having a vision to establish a center. I acknowledge Trustee Rivera already as one of the champions. She continues to be. I then had the pleasure to meet another Chicano by the name of Professor Mario Moreno, and he started to include me as an ally. Then I had the pleasure of meeting Professor Ricardo Aguilar in the new faculty academy. We began to be allies. And then I began to meet many other professors and faculty and staff, but more so students. More so the students. Historically, 2016, December 13th, the Board of Trustees adopted Resolution 1654 in recognition as a statement of support of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. And so began a series of resolutions by the trustees in 2018, 19, 20, to adopt a resolution acknowledging the Undocumented Student Week of Action, which takes place next week here at Delta College. We missed a couple of years in resolutions because somebody decided to launch COVID-19 onto the world, but we're back, and we're going to adopt another resolution to acknowledge that. We were successful as a college to land the Catalyst Grant, a grant that was given to us to establish a foundation of support and services. From there, we built a partnership with the California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation. Bianca Dueñas, if you're in the audience, I want to acknowledge and give you a shout out as an attorney. She was key and fundamental. She was key and fundamental to bring, Bianca, please come up here. She is key and fundamental to bring legal services for free for our students, our faculty, and our staff. And as a result of that, our grant continued for 3 years, and we had the honor of partnering with her. It then evolved into another partnership with the United Farm Workers Foundation. And I don't know if Palomas Contreras happens to be here in the audience, but I want to give a shout out to her as an attorney. She's working with our Dreamer Success Center, our students, our faculty, our staff, in person and virtually. She'll be here next week along with Bianca doing a workshop during Undocu Week of Action. Key partnerships, Catholic Charities, El Concilio. I saw one of our colleagues in the group from Catholic Charities. It was good to see you, bro. Where'd you go? Ahí estás. Want to shout out to Catholic Charities. I can go on and on. We then launched the Dreamers Task Force. That task force was charged under the leadership of then Vice President of Student Services, Dr. Lisa Cooper Wilkins, to begin to formulate. As we know, when it's in writing, it has a lot more power. So she was strategic in pulling together a plan, a document, to establish and serve as a foundation for the Dreamer Success Center. That document was blessed by a previous president who then supported the establishment of the Dreamers Advisory Group. I'm a member of that group. Professor Aguilar is, Eric is, Professor Moreno. There's several of us that are part of that. It's a coalition of faculty, staff, students, and administrators to support and serve as advocates for the Dreamer Success Center. We're all responsible for this center. We're all responsible to be advocates. It's not one individual, it is a collective. I'm pleased to say that under the new Administrative Policy 2430, that's our policy, that establishes the rules and regulations for our shared governance committees, we are going to be establishing a Dreamers Advisory Subcommittee as part of the Student Success and Equity Shared Governance Committee. So it becomes a more formal component and establishes what we all agree is commitment by the Institute to the Dreamer Success Center. So colleagues, I can go on with some of the history, but all this to say, it's led up to October the 13th, 2022, when we can gather as friends, as families, as colleagues, to have a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the grand opening of the Dreamer Success Center. So now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. And although he has been practicing his crossover dribble, and I have been practicing my crossover dribble, we keep talking like we're gonna play each other, like, you know, we're gonna break each other's kneecaps. But I know I got some OG experience. I know how to elbow and knock the wind out of him on a jump shot. Anyway, Mr. Sergio Lara has become not only a friend and colleague of mine over these last 4 years, he's someone that I consider almost like a spiritual ally. Es buena gente, and I think when you hear his words, you're gonna feel that too. Sergio is a first-generation immigrant, originally from Michoacan, Mexico, and raised in Redwood City, Califas. He earned his bachelor's degree from the University of California at Berkeley in sociology with a minor in city and regional planning. Sergio went on to earn a master's degree in education with a concentration in counselor education from California State University, Stanislaus. Sergio graduated as a first-generation immigrant and is the first in his family to graduate from college, having overcome growing up in the margins of our social fabric, including homelessness. Sergio currently serves as a mental health specialist with La Familia Central Valley, and prior to joining La Familia Central Valley, Sergio had the pleasure of serving as our first resource specialist in the Dreamer Success Center. Give it up for Sergio there. He's currently a resident of Modesto, California, and he credits his success to his family. Sergio also finds his source of strength, grit, and perseverance, not only from his mother, but from his grandfather and former California bracero, Alfredo Sanchez Huerta. But of all, his strength comes from his love, his hope, and his faith in God. Please welcome to the mic, Mr. Sergio Lara.
Good morning, everyone. Trust in God, trust in Ed that he taps me on the side when my time is up. Good morning, how's everybody doing, or afternoon? It's good to be back, it's good to be home. So I prepared a couple of points that I wanted to share today, but I actually want to ask for permission to start off on a little bit of a sad note, if that's okay with the group. If not, then I can skip it. Is that cool? Okay. So right now I do a little bit of work out in Gustine, California, off the 5, and I wanted to take a moment to just acknowledge what we're working is to reduce gang violence in that community. And so Friday around 7:30 p.m., a young boy from the high school, I want to acknowledge him, Alan, was shot cold-blooded, drive-by shooting. But I say that not to start us off necessarily on a sad note or keep us there, but as folks have mentioned and elaborated today, that as we move forward from this on, that we continue to move forward with passion, with fervor, and even if there's differences, right, that we welcome them, we acknowledge them, that we acknowledge each other, that we continue to respect, to love, and honor each other. The center, I think that's the spirit of the center, as best we can, right? And so, you know, I'd like to open up with that encouragement for cousins of mine or uncles. I'm looking for my family. Came here when I was 6, grew up here undocumented before I knew what that even was. I think I became aware of my status my senior year in high school, but just very grateful that the work ethic that my mom passed on, and I do want to acknowledge her as well as my dad. My dad's from Veracruz, so I want to acknowledge my mulatto, Afro-Latino, all my roots. And that's a little bit about my journey. I ended up going to UC Berkeley, the number 1 public university in the country and arguably the world. And I say that humbly, right? Not to boast, but to encourage folks in the audience, right? That you can too, whether you have papers, whether you don't, whether you believe in yourself, whether you don't. You know, I love this quote by Gloria Anzaldúa, right? About sometimes there is no bridges and there are no centers and there are no support groups, but when you step out in faith, you create those as you go, right? So I want to acknowledge that. I also want to honor just my role opening up the Dreamer Success Center back in 2019, and just the committee that brought me on board, everybody that chipped in. You know, I was new to this campus. I hadn't really been here at all. I didn't know the community, but everybody welcomed me with open arms, and so I want to acknowledge that. I want to thank everyone for that. The love was definitely felt, and I'm going to slip my resume to Ed under the podium after so he can bring me back. But I just want to say that everybody was a blessing, right? From the conference, from legal services to the I am yo soy. If you're here, you can shout if you want. They're awesome. That's the heartbeat of the movement of the center, the students. In my time, we did, as I had mentioned, we had to make that transition through COVID into virtual services. And one thing that maybe I was blind to, but man, there was a lot of deaths that our students finally started to talk about. And I had no idea what they were going through until we would meet through this coffee talks program. And I had the opportunity to be of support, right? Or to at least lend a ear for them to speak. And so while that was tough, I think one of the things that the center continues to perpetuate is the grit and perseverance of all dreamers, of our parents, our grandparents, my wish is that, and I know it will continue on, right? This is an awesome and powerful community. I spoke about the island transition, the importance of the center. To me personally, when I began my community college journey in Santa Clara and Mission College, I was a lost little puppy, right? I didn't know where to go. People would tell me this is from enrollment services, right? I hope I'm not outing anybody up. Hey, you need a green card to come here, and I was on foot, on bus. But man, God bless centers like these, because in 2003 I could only dreamed of, right? You didn't even want to say you were undocumented, right? Because you don't know if you're going to get deported on the spot. But again, the heartbeat of the movement, the heartbeat of the center. If you're a student, raise your hand. A Delta College student, right? It's you, right? Whether you have papers or not, whether you immigrated or not, we're here because of you. This is, anything that happens, it should revolve and it will revolve around you, right? So remember that you have a voice, so speak up, even when it shakes, like mine sometimes, right? Recently, they made DACA unlawful, right? To that, I just want to say, man, while we are immigrants, at the same time, from Canada, or as the natives say, Canada, all the way to South America, this is home, right? Let's humanize that for ourselves, right? The courts need a lot of catching up to do, right? In terms of what it is to be a human being, right? So we've been home all this time, right? But they tell us all these lies about you're unlawful and this is unlawful, but man, we gotta remind them we're human beings. Right, we're human, all right? So, but they'll catch up. They'll catch up. So let's put the unlawful courts to the side and remember our humanness, right? When we come into the center, when we acknowledge each other, when we greet each other, right? Let's do so with love. And I want to anchor my last point again, in saying and reiterating the same thing, students. And maybe I'll end with this. When we used to march back in 2006. Some people described it as a new civil rights movement of that time, because we had LA, Chicago, thousands of people marching for immigrants' rights. So I'm going to invite you to sing with me, right? And maybe we can close with this. Because once a student, always a student, right? We are the students. The mighty, mighty students. Fighting for justice. And an education. We are the students. I forgot the last, I already forgot. You gotta remind me, what? The mighty students. The what? The mighty, mighty students. Fighting for justice. And an education. Let those words reverberate throughout this campus and your community for the next 5,000 years. Gracias.
Órale, Sergio, you don't need to slip the resume under the door. I already updated it for you. It's ready to go. We would love to have you back, Sergio. We would love to have you back. So, guests, colleagues, friends, family, you're probably wondering why there isn't a program. And it was intentional. And that's part of one of our speakers that'll be coming up after our next speaker. And you'll see why. There's a pleasant surprise behind it. I want to introduce our next speaker. I don't see her. Is she in the audience? Dr. Alina Sala?
Yeah, she's here.
Where are you, Dr. Sala? Please come up. I want to introduce Dr. Alina Sala. But before I do that, I think while she's up here, we represent quite a bit at Delta College. But we both work for the Division of Student Services. Dr. Sala in Counseling Department, in particular for Disability Student Programs and Services, DSPS, and I'm one of the Deans of Student Services. And we do so humbly and honorably working with our Assistant Superintendent and Vice President, Dr. Lonita Cordova, who I want to acknowledge and give a shout out to my boss. Dr. Cordova came home. She lives in Stockton. She worked in Stockton. She drove down the 99 for a hot minute to Modesto College and then Los Baños, and she realized, chale, I need to get back home. So she came back home. And we've welcomed her with open arms since, and she's already moved mountains and mountain ranges in support of student equity, access, inclusion, and diversity. Humbled and honored to call you my boss lady. And I mean that with all due respect. The next colleague standing next to me is somebody that we started at about the same time, huh, Dr. Sala? But the moment I'm in her presence, I feel that peace, I feel a calmness, and I feel therapy that I didn't even know I needed. Dr. Sala has been an equity access champion since the beginning, in Inglés y en Español. She's the former co-chair for the Chicano Latino Faculty Task Force that is very active and present here today and on this campus. She works with a student population that has needs of both services and literal and figurative arms to wrap around. Her generosity goes beyond her services to the community. I want to introduce Dr. Sala because she's donating a work of art to the Dreamer Success Center, and it's an important work of art. Dr. Sala.
Gracias, gracias. It's an honor to be here, and I just want to give you a context of what I'm going to donate. It's un calendario Aztec, it's an Aztec calendar, but the story behind it is it was created, it's a piece of art that was created by Stan Padilla. He's a Chicano artist and activist, and he's with the RCAF, the Royal Chicano Air Force. It was gifted to our family con amor and respect for the commitment that we made to our community. And with that, I want to donate the Aztec calendar con amor and respect to the Delta community, to our leadership, our Latino, Latinx, Chicanx, the new term, leadership, to our faculty, to our students. And with that being said, I do want to read a little bit about the history of this Aztec calendar. I got 3 minutes. I'll read fast. So the Aztec sun stone is one of the most recognized images in Mexican culture. It symbolizes heritage, knowledge, and culture, cultura. This painting, done by Chicano artist Stan Padilla, was done in 1970, at the height of the Chicano movement. It is referred to as the return of the Chicano sun. The painting took 6 months to complete, and 5,000 prints were made, at which there are only less than 100 left today. One is going to be here. They have been distributed nationally and internationally. It is offered here today to the Dream Success Center with blessings of the artist and of the Sala family in the spirit of education, knowledge, and wisdom, and self-determination. So with that, I gift it con amor and respect to all of you, and it is an honor to be here in front of all of you, and thank you for the opportunity to present. Gracias.
Gracias, Dr. Sala. So after the ribbon cutting ceremony, you'll have an opportunity to tour the Dreamer Success Center, and you will see the work of art on display, and it's arranged in a manner for photo op. Our last speaker before the ribbon cutting ceremony sort of needs no introduction, but out of respect and admiration for who he is, he's gonna get one. Professor Mario Moreno is an established artist, drawer, painter, sculptor, not only at Delta College, but in the community with the Chicano Air Force. When I first started at Delta College, he welcomed me as a student equity and diversity manager, but he also challenged me. He challenged me to support the cause at Delta College, and to this day, we continue to support and challenge each other. I consider him an indigenous Chicano, because as you get to know him, at times I'm not sure if he's more native or more raza, or he's just both, and he rocks it very well. He's also a member of the Chicano Latino Faculty Task Force and one of the founders and foundation blocks, long after he retires, to the Dreamer Success Center. And he knows on the mic I'm gonna have to give him a jab. 2010, 2012, and 2014 is when the San Francisco Giants won the World Series, because he happens to be a Dodgers fan. And I'm never gonna pass up the opportunity to acknowledge a fellow Chicano from East LA, and true to the Dodgers, but true to the cause, Professor Mario Moreno.
¿Cómo está, raza? Órale. You know, had the opportunity to talk with a couple of you before we started, and I was given some advice, okay? I don't know if I like the advice, but I'm going to share it with you a little bit here. So I was told to be brief, right? And try to be brilliant, and then to quickly be seated. And I was told que hay riesgo, there's risk. And I said, what risk? I was like, okay, we're going into Chicano mode now, right? Hay riesgo. And I said, so what riesgo? He goes, if you're not quick, se van a enfriar las enchiladas. So having said that, the logo that is going to be part of the Dreamer Center, I want to give you some context on the logo that you will probably see. And the context starts out in probably not the best place. And I'm going to take you back just a little bit for just a moment, and some of the speakers have alluded to it. And when we started the fight for the Dream Center, you have to understand that our community, our immigrant community, was in constant barrage. The ICE agents were invading our communities, our churches, our schools, our supermarkets, and there was true fear in our community. And it was real. And a lot of us were just feeling as though this college needed to do more, and we were capable of doing more. And so we started to push forward. Professor Aguilar stepped up right away, and he went to the academic senate and he said, we've got to get a center. And everybody looked at him like, are you crazy? We got an agenda. And he's like, no, I'll say it again. And he did. We were at a workshop here on conference, here on college, and he said it again. We need this center. And we were like, all right, let's get down. And so we started a movement. And it was the students, right? They understood what was at stake. We even had a phone connection. Some of us that worked here at the college, we were underground, and we said, if ICE ever shows up here at this college, we're going to call each other, and we're going to link up, and we're not going to let them take anybody. Nobody's going to get taken on this campus. And that's where we were. That's where our mind was. And that's how dark it got. But this college responded. I've got to say that. Where's Board Member Rivera? Where are you? Board Member Rivera, the Rocca Rivera, right here. She stood with us, and I also have to say, when we went to the Board of Trustees, the students, they demanded it. And they said, and they crowded the hallways, they crowded the boardroom, and they kept yelling, what do you want? And they would say, Dream Center. What do you want? Dream Center. Let's say it. What do you want? Dream Center. What do you want? Dream Center. And if you don't get it, shut it down. And that's what the students were saying. And that's what happened. And Board Member Mathis, bless her soul. And if she was here, I would just hug her. The way she treated our students with so much respect. They came up and they spoke one by one, and tears in their eyes. And they said, do you know what my family is going through? Do you know how it feels to be hunted in my community? That's what they were saying at the boardroom. And Mrs. Mathis, she gave them time, and she treated with so much respect. And that will not be forgotten, along with Ms. Rivera here. So remember, in the positions of power that we have, we can effect and create change. And then that is where the design comes from that you'll be seeing. You'll notice that the design has an illumination that is glowing throughout the whole design. You would think that you were at some kind of sun park. But I want people to know that this place is about hope. This place is about possibility. This place is about our students. It's about knowledge, right? It's about wisdom. And that's what I wanted people to feel when they look at that logo. It has a butterfly, la mariposa cósmica. So that when you see that butterfly, right? And there's two of them. We don't know where they're going, right? But we know that they're going out into the community. And as they leave the center, they go with that hope and inspiration that they're going to affect change and bring it back, right? The circle that you see there is in that red, brown, all of the elements. There was a lot of things, and I was working with the Dream Center coordinator here. Esther, yes, bless her soul, Esther Marquez. And she said, I want this in there, I want this in there, I want that, I want this, and I want this, and I want that. I'm like, it's a logo. This is not a painting. It's not a painting, right? But I got to work, and I sketched, and she said, okay, let's put some more. And we sketched in there. And the two butterflies that are rising, La Monarca and the blue butterfly, right? And in there you have the sense of earth and wind and fire and water. Indigenous understandings that we are all one raza. And all of that is in that circle that you see, right? And in it you also see the 10 symbols that surround center. The 10 symbols that mean wisdom and wind. So that when you get knowledge, you leave here with wisdom. So there's a lot of these dynamics in the symbol, and I just wanted you to know that it was a work of love, and that it's been a real blessing to have our center. We will fight for our center. We are not going nowhere. We are not going nowhere. We are not going nowhere. All right? I just want people to know. Gracias.
Gracias, Professor. So that was part of the surprise, folks. We had the pleasure and honor of borrowing with permission a butterfly to serve as our logo. But Professor Moreno designed and drafted the new logo for the Dreamer Success Center at Delta College, and so it is on your program. And in there is an artist's statement that articulates further what Professor Moreno's intentions were behind the design. So, gracias, Professor Moreno. And as I mentioned, between us and the comida, and then the mariachi will end with the ribbon cutting ceremony, but not yet, not yet. As I mentioned, organic opportunities forthcome. So I was shared an opportunity for our next speaker who has a brief statement, but he is our upcoming president for the I Am Yo Soy Club. I want to bring up Aldo Guzman to the stage and give him the microphone. Bienvenidos.
Take it all in, and I just want to take it all in right now and thank everybody for being here. I'm just taking a mental picture. Okay, I'll try not to cry. All right. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aldo Guzman Medano, and I am the new club president for the I Am Yo Soy Club. Our mission is to help students connect to resources available in the community such as scholarships, AB 60, Prop 47, Trust Act, DACA, Cal Dream Act, and much more. I Am Yo Soy wants to assist students with unique challenges that get in their way of achieving academic, personal, and professional excellence. As president of the I Am Yo Soy Club, I will make sure that this club creates a safe space for all undocumented students, all immigrants, and all immigrant allies. We will provide a safe, judge-free zone on campus for current and potential undocumented students. On May 7, 2019 was the day our story started. For undocumented, documented, or allies, we made history here at San Joaquin Delta College. 2.5 years ago, a long, hard-fought battle was won by the Board of Trustees, creating a new center for us to call home. 2.5 years later, there have been lots of obstacles we faced, and there was major pushback. We are not gone, we are not forgotten, but we are certainly here to stay. Today we are continuing the story for those who were here before us fighting for the center to open. This day is also for you as well. I'm so happy for the huge turnout that everybody is able to be here and to celebrate, and seeing that the center is finally getting the recognition it deserves means a lot to me. And now I wanted to share a personal story, how I connect personally to the center and why walking into the center one day changed my life. So without the center, I would not be here because I was able to get help from the immigration lawyer to renew my DACA. So I too am an undocumented student, first generation. I came to this country at 3 years old from Mexico, from DF. Without the center, I would have not known Esther Marquez Perez, which is our old specialist resourcer, and all the friends I made along the way. Esther saw greatness in me when I had no self-confidence and motivation to get involved.
Vamos, Aldo!
Meeting Esther here at the Dreamer Success Center last year was the day of my life changed forever, because she was here to support me, she was here to educate me, and she was here to provide resources for me. Meeting friends along the way, having them welcome me, a stranger, with open arms, made me feel like I belonged here. No one should be treated differently because of their immigration status, and I'm so proud of myself for being in a position in front of all of you today. And a undocumented immigrant, I'm striving in a country that can be cruel to those who are not from here. One final thing that I wanted to say is we are here to stay, and part of the reason why I became club president is to revive not only the club, but the center as well. So thank you all for coming here, I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for one of our student leaders, Aldo. I also want to not only acknowledge Aldo as the president for the I Am Yo Soy Club, he is also an elected student official as an ASDC officer. So thank you for your leadership. All right, colleagues. We got about a hot minute. We're going to get it done. Before we do the ribbon cutting ceremony, there are two individuals. There are two individuals who deserve a special recognition. This grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony would not have occurred with the extra effort, blood, sweat, tears, run to the Dollar Tree store, run to Costco, pacay, paya. And there was two individuals. And one of the things that we're going to do today for a select group of individuals, I apologize, we can't give one to everyone, is we've had some commemorative pins made with the new logo, the Dream of Success Center logo. And on the back of it, it says Grand Opening, Delta College, 2022. We didn't put an exact date because that was moving a little bit, but we knew it was going to happen in 2022. So I want to bring up La Señora Claudia Navarro. And I want to bring up La Señora Marisol Corona. And on behalf of the Dreamers Advisory Group and San Joaquin Delta College, I want to bestow on them the first two pins to commemorate this grand opening. Thank you. Photo. Thank you. Okay, next. All right, folks, it's the ribbon cutting ceremony, and I can feel the pressure. We got other meetings, Ed. We got other meetings. Let's go. That's code for people who want to eat. So we're going to have some quesadillas and some tacos también. I want to invite Trustee Janet Rivera to represent San Joaquin Delta College up here as part of the ribbon cutting group. If you would please join us up here, Trustee Rivera. Next, I want to bring up, she was once a student to help establish the I Am Yo Soy Club, and now I call her a colleague as she works in the office. I'm going to get delegated another project for that. No overtime for me. So ladies and gentlemen, and we want, look, Dr. Cordova, yeah, Trustee Rivera wants you too. Trustee Rivera. She said, she's, okay, ladies, hold on now. Everybody get your cameras ready? Your video cameras? Oh, you want to move? No, you're good. All right, everybody. On the count of 3. 1. All right, start over. You're blocking the cameras. Be mindful who's behind you. All right, rewind. One more time. 1, 2,